Before coming today, I was at the VA hospital and a few other places around town. So I posed a test question to different people around that would talk to me. And I asked them, what do they know about the Fifth Amendment? 8 out of 10 of them gave the Hollywood answer about you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law, or at least fairly close to that. 2 of them didn't even have a clue. And so I'm going to ask you a rhetorical question. I don't want y'all to answer it now. Is the Hollywood answer all you know about the Fifth Amendment? If it is, then that is part of the reason why it's one of the most violated amendments we have out of all of our first 10 amendments. It basically states no person shall be held to answer for a capital or otherwise infamous crime unless on presentment or indictment of a grand jury, except in cases arising in the land or naval forces or in the militia, when in actual service in time of war or public danger. Nor shall any person be subject to the same offense to be twice put in jeopardy of life or limb, nor shall be compelled in any criminal case to be a witness against himself, nor be deprived of life, liberty, property without due process of law, nor shall private property be taken for public use without just compensation. And the way I look at it, it breaks down into about 5 different rights. The first part of it is no person shall be held to answer for a capital or otherwise infamous crime unless on presentment of an indictment of a grand jury, except in cases arising from land or naval forces in the militia when in actual service in time of war. From what I've been able to research, at least 80 to 90% of Louisiana felony cases, which are capital cases, do not even go to a grand jury. They don't even hold it. So that's a violation of the right. Although in a lot of ways it's a legal violation because the person's attorney waives that right. And the reason they do it is it's the way it's set up. The running joke among lawyers is you could convict or you will indict a ham sandwich in a grand jury. It's usually done where it's only presented one way, and that's the prosecutor presenting what he thinks his case is. He can lie, he can exaggerate, he can say he has evidence that he does not have and will not be able to show in court when he gets to trial. But it's not the same jury that'll be in the trial case as in the grand jury case. And so often that's just a rubber stamp process. So to me, that is a violation of it. Benjamin Franklin once said, it is better that 100 guilty persons should escape justice than one innocent person suffer. This maxim has been long and generally approved. Basically, that's the core of America's innocent until proven guilty beyond a shadow of a doubt. But unfortunately, our system today does not actually work that way, especially in Louisiana and one other state that does the Napoleonic laws instead of like everybody else. The second part goes on to say, nor shall any person be subject for the same offense or be twice put in jeopardy of life and limb. That one also gets violated quite often. If there's a federal law and a state law, and they can't get you on one, so you get acquitted on one, then the other one's going to get you. If you're acquitted in the state court, then the federal may try a hand in federal court. To me, that's double jeopardy. Another part of double jeopardy is a lot of times people will take plea bargains because they have no evidence to prove their innocence, because when a crime's not committed, there's no evidence. The third part goes, nor shall be compelled in any criminal case to be a witness against himself. That one is violated almost every day in every city in the United States of America. When a police officer stops somebody and has them blow into a breathalyzer, or they draw blood to see if they have too much alcohol or any other substances in their body. That is your body testifying against you. That will be used in court of law. I do agree that we need to have ways to stop drunk drivers and people that are on drugs and all that, but we don't need to break our Constitution to do it. Our founding fathers gave us an amendment process, which is how we got the Bill of Rights to begin with. They can come up with an amendment to correct certain deficiencies so they can do it constitutionally instead of unconstitutionally. A government that won't live by its own agreement is not worth having. And we were told to be on guard about that. by all of our founding fathers. Our basic rights were added. No, I'm sorry, I covered that already. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. I can tell you from firsthand experience that is very true. You can bet your freedom on it. I don't care how innocent the comment is, how innocent you are. They're going to twist whatever you say around. They'll take some of the best things you ever did and make it look like you were nefarious at doing it for nefarious reasons. So the best thing to do is keep that right to remain silent. Do not speak to anyone except your attorney. And in some places, like in Jefferson Parish, from first-hand experience I know, you can claim your Fifth Amendment right. All they'll do is have you sit in a room for a little bit. They'll send in a different detective, or the same one may come in and start chit-chatting with you, and then they'll start asking questions again, like if he didn't know you even exercised your Fifth Amendment right. And again, like I said, even though you're innocent and don't say anything to prove you're not innocent, they will twist it around. So no matter how innocent or guilty you are, assert your Fifth Amendment right and stick to it. Speak to no one but your attorney. When in doubt about whether you got to answer a question, tell them you want to speak to an attorney. The fourth part of it is, nor be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process. That one has been abused in several different ways. Land has been taken, or actually your liberty has been taken whenever they stop you without any probable cause. That is violating your right to travel. It's violating your right to freely exercise your liberty to move about from state to state or within the state. And forget about that Hollywood phone call if you get arrested, especially if you're in Jefferson Parish. How many of y'all have home phones that is not a cell phone? Y'all are the lucky ones, especially if you got young teenagers. They get arrested, they get put in Jefferson Parish. The system that they have set up goes through a company that you have to make a collect call. You cannot call a cell phone on a collect call unless it's already been set up in the system already. So you can sit there for 40 days without even being able to notify your family that you're in jail for something you didn't do. All right. So keep that in mind when you cast your vote for sheriff, or for judges, or for district attorneys. Nor shall private property be taken for public use without compensation is the fifth one. They've taken land from people who didn't want to sell their homes to Walmart. So the government came in and took their land and then sold it to Walmart. They claimed the public use was the taxes that they're going to get from Walmart, from the sales tax. I don't think that is what our founding fathers had in mind. Or about during Hurricane Katrina, when they came into the houses, and anybody that left a firearm in the house, they removed the firearm and they took it. They claimed it was to secure the firearm, but they made no attempts to return it. They didn't even make any attempts to properly store it. So the few lucky individuals that did get their firearms back, they were rusty, corroded, and many of them broken, had broken stocks and stuff like that. Just recently, one of my favorite presidents, President Trump, just signed into the law where they could, or authorized where they can go ahead and say bump stocks are illegal, that it's not protected by the Second Amendment. So basically, somebody that owns a bump stock that bought it legally has to either turn it in or destroy it, or they're illegal, but they're getting no compensation for it. So it violates that right. Our sheriffs, our judges, and our district attorneys take a sworn oath to uphold the Constitution. But these violations happen every day in every city of America. So keep that in mind when you go to the vote in the polls. Don't worry about whether it's an R or a D behind the name. Don't worry about if you just recognize the name. Or, yeah, he seems to be a good person. Find out, is he going to uphold the Constitution? If he's already been in office, check his record, see if he really has. Especially with district attorneys, because they have a tendency to run on their crime rate, on how many convictions they got. But what the district attorney will fail to tell you is how many of those convictions have been overturned on appeal because of violations of people's civil rights. or how many of those convictions that they have, or by plea bargains by people that couldn't afford a decent attorney, and so decided to take either probation or some very minimum jail time instead of facing 30 or 40 years in jail for a crime they didn't commit. Just recently, I say recently, it was probably about a year ago, a gentleman was let loose, and they're going to make a movie out of it here. He spent 34 years in jail for an alleged rape that he committed. Thankfully, with the new technology today, they were able to prove he was not the person that did it. But that's 34 years in jail because he was not able to prove his innocence beyond a reasonable doubt, and that's mainly because of the way our so-called justice system is set up. So your vote should be about character and integrity to uphold their oath of office, which includes upholding the Constitution and our rights, that not one innocent person is convicted of and imprisoned for a crime they didn't commit. If they can't do that, they don't deserve to be in office, and we don't deserve America. Thank you.
Thank you.